We're Keith and Hannah, and we just bought this 2024 Mercedes Sprinter all-wheel drive 2500, and today we're going to be installing Agile Offroad's RIP Kit. Some of the things it comes with are front auxiliary Fox shocks. We opted for the reservoir shocks on the back. We have wheel spacers, Bilstein front struts with a coilover, and we also have 6,000 pound rated rear leaf springs. The reason we're installing this kit is because we are going to be weighing this van down quite a bit, and it's going to help with sway and just overall like drive comfortability. We have driven a couple vans with this kit installed, and the difference is night and day. So before we get into installing this, let's go over some tools you're going to need to do it. So you're going to need an impact, a socket. You'll need a 18mm and 19mm, also 14mm torque wrench. You'll need some anti-seize lubricant and some red Loctite. It's also nice to have an 18 and 19mm wrench, and there's 2 Allen keys that you need, and I'm sure that we're missing some things, so we'll list those on the screen. So if you're like us, most people probably don't have a lift, so you're also going to need jacks and jack stands. The more the merrier, just to be safe. So now we're going to jack this thing up.
Ready?
Yep. Alright, now that the van is jacked up and we've got the jack stands in place, it's time to take the tires off so we can take everything apart. These are 19mm. So the instructions that come with this are actually really good, so you can pretty much just follow them. But it says to start on the passenger side and take off the lower shock bolt, and then take the sway bar off from right here, and then loosen the U-bolt nuts on the spring on the passenger side, and then just leave it there, and then go to the driver's side, and then basically just take everything off, do the driver's side, and then come back to the passenger side. I'm not 100% sure why it says that, but that's what the instructions say. So that is what we'll be doing. So we're gonna start by taking off the lower, basically just take the shock off, but start with the bottom. You also want to make sure that this is the brake line here, it's attached to the block, so when you drop the axle down, this will be attached, so you want to loosen it so that way when it drops it has some flexibility so you don't break anything off. And then the last step on this side before we go to the driver's side is just loosen the U-bolt nuts. There's 4 of them here, and then we'll just leave this side, and then we'll go basically just do the whole driver's side, and then we'll come back to this side. Okay, so now on to the driver's side, we're just going to take this shock off, basically just repeat the steps. Just take these out, and then you want to save this because you'll reuse it on the new ones. Okay, so now we just have to take the leaf spring off. So there's 1 bolt up here and 1 back there. That we just have to take those off.
This isn't even the heaviest.
This is light.
Yeah. This is no more?
Yeah, it's a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. So when you take the factory leaf spring off, we have to save this like shackle that's on the back and reuse it on the new one. So pretty much take this off, move this out of the way, bring the new one in, and put this back on the new one. And this is an 18 millimeter. Pretty much everything for the back so far has been either 18, 19, and then there's one that's a 21 millimeter. So not too many, just 3. So, well, hi Chloe. You're not supposed to be over here. You ready?
I was bored, Dad.
Ready?
If you've made it to this point, this is where you absolutely need a second person, and preferably a strong one.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Keith is stuck with me, so
You're strong.
whatever strength I can give him is the best he can
act
get.
like you're not.
I mean, yes, I'm strong, but this is like next level. This is being strong in different planes that I'm like not used to.
So basically this is the, I think, hardest part physically because this leaf spring is super heavy and you have to get it in here, and then this brake line goes on top of it. So we kind of have to like shimmy it in here and then slide it into this like narrow area. And this is already a small area to begin with, so this will be fun. Our bodies are probably going to block the beginning part of this, but there's really no other way to do it. Okay, so now we're just getting the bolts back in on this side. You may have to push the axle just a little bit to get them to line up. But we're not tightening these down yet, just putting them in. Okay. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
I don't know if I can get in there anymore.
There we go, it's in.
It's in it? Okay. Woo!
Basically the front and the back, we just put the bolts in and hand tighten the nuts. And then we're gonna put this came off the old one, this saddle, and then put the U-bolts. Agile provides these. And on anything that's new that Agile provides, you're supposed to put this anti-seize on it. And then anything that's like you're taking off and putting back on, you're supposed to put red thread locker on it. Again, with these, we're just going to hand tighten them for now until we get the other side's leaf spring on, and then we'll tighten everything down. We'll tighten it and torque it. There's certain torque specs for everything, but Agile does provide all of those in the instructions. Now we're back over on the passenger side, and we're going to take this leaf spring out, put the new one in, and then we'll do the rest of it. I think the reason they do this, want you to do this, is to keep the axle from shifting from side to side. So now you have something in over there that'll keep it from moving, which makes sense because if you get it shifted, it's much harder to get it back in place where you need it. So. now that we have both leaf springs in, we have 2 jacks underneath the rear axle, so we jack those up just a little bit to kind of simulate some load on these, and then we're going to torque the U-bolts to 125 foot-pounds. So first I'm just going to tighten it with the impact, and then I'll go back through and use the torque wrench, and then tighten both of the bolts and nuts that mount the leaf springs at the front and the back to 51, and then you just rotate them 180 degrees. So we're going to do this first. Now you do the same thing on the driver's side. So now we're going to put the shock in, and you just use the factory hardware that came with the van that you took off, and then you just want to put the red thread lock on there. We're using the reservoir shocks, and I originally thought it was going to be like this, so like the Fox was seen, but the instructions say that the reservoir needs to go to the front of the van like this, and that's what the pictures on Agile's website show as well. So read the instructions, because I would have definitely put it backwards. Agile also supplies this little line to cover the brake line right here, so that way it doesn't rub on the new leaf spring. This is the line, you just twist this little wire around it just to keep it on there. I mean, how sick does this look? Seriously. I'm super excited. Do you like it? Mm-hmm. And now we're adding, so we're going from the bolts that the van normally comes with to actually having studs. So Agile sends them, and they also send the spacer that goes on. So just put these on. Again, use red thread lock on this. Stab a little bit on. Put them in. There's also no torque spec like rating on these. It's just you just put them in. So. And then you kind of just like hand tighten them as much as you can, really. And now that those are on, I'm going to put the spacer on, and they recommend that you put some anti-seize lubricant just around the inside of this. Just around the inside of this. So it doesn't get rusty and stick to there. Now we can finally put the wheels back on. Okay, and then we can lower it and then torque it once it's on the ground. Okay, the back is finally done and we're going to go have a much deserved lunch break, but it looks super cool. We just measured it too, and it's 3 inches higher. So
yeah, and it only took about 4 hours. So.
Yeah, we were expecting this to take longer and expect like more problems, but we really didn't have any. I don't think so.
Hopefully this video is helpful and all the steps for the rear. I mean, I know we still have the front to do, but I feel like that was pretty simple.
Yeah. So here's what it looks like, and then we're gonna go eat lunch and we'll be back. So basically what we need to do now that the wheel's off is take this plastic off. They say to take this off too, but you really only need anything over here, so I'm just gonna leave that one on. Take this off, and then we'll take this strut out, and then we'll probably just do the same thing on the other side, and then we can just put everything back together. So taking these little plastic nut slash washers off, just a 10 millimeter. The next step is to take these 2 bolts off and then these 2 down here that are around this bump stop. So we're going to take these 4 off right now. So this piece was up under in there. You take that out, just wipe down the area, and then this is the new bracket that Agile sends. So this is going to go up in there.
Probably have to slide
Some way, shape, or form. Okay, so here is the new bracket in. I got way too frustrated, so I don't want to take credit. Hannah got this in, so thank you for that. Now we're gonna, I believe, bolt this in and then go from there. Okay, so you use these supplied bolts and you use blue thread locker on these, not red.
Okay, so we're starting to install this bracket right now, and all we've done is place this with this bolt, nut, and washer. It's the, where'd my other one go? Oh, you have it.
I'm pushing it through.
It's 1 1/4 inch, and right now we're doing the part where you need a little buddy to go from the engine compartment down to here, and you just thread that on. Okay. So far we're just chilling right here.
Okay, so now what we're doing is we're taking this flag washer and it's gonna go up into this hole back here. Let me move this. So it'll go here. It slides up behind. And then you can see it up there. So you hold this like so, and then you use the 3/8 bolt with the lock washer and washer.
Can you hold the bracket up?
Yeah.
Up there?
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. No, it's in there.
Okay.
Okay, so once you get this one tightened down and the one in the back, go to tightening these. Just look, it doesn't say anything about torque specs on this, so just been pretty much just going until we can't tighten it really much more. Now we're going to drill 2 holes here and here using a 3/8 inch drill bit, and then just make sure there's nothing on the back side so you don't drill through anything, and then we're going to put 2 more bolts in there.
And these are the 1-inch 3/8 bolts. They go washer on each side and keep this inside the engine compartment to tighten them.
Okay, so I lied about the torque specs. The 3/8 bolts, there's 3 of them. Those are 40 pounds, and then these 2 1/2-inch bolts here are 100 pounds. Great sound effects in the camera.
These are the measurements that they give you in the instructions, and then we're just cutting it with a knife. So this is pretty much what you get out of that. Looks good, honestly.
Okay, so we're switching gears for a second. Before we put this piece back in and put the shock in, we're replacing the strut, and we realized in the instructions, we were just looking at the instructions for just the auxiliary shock, and in that, like in the pictures, they already have the strut replaced. So we're gonna do the strut first and then come back to this. By taking these 2 screws out with a T20 bit, and this little plastic piece comes off, and then this floor mat will come out. Okay, so now we've got this. There's only 1 bolt up there that you take off, and it's a 24 millimeter. So now we're going to take, I already took 1 off, we're going to take the second one off, and then we should be able to drop the strut down and take it out. Okay, so now we have to assemble the new struts so we can put them on. So
I thought there were other instructions for this.
I think the instructions you have might be better. We weren't sure exactly how to get this in, so we did just do this side, so we'll show you better on the next one. But it's finally in. You do kind of have to compress the strut a little bit, which just basically is using all of your might to lift it up. And then we found it was better to put these 2 in, not worry about that one, and have a jack underneath here, so then you can like push the jack up to compress the spring to actually get the nut in on the inside. At the top of this one, it's the 1/2 inch by 2 3/4. It's a 19 millimeter. And at the bottom, it's this long one that's 1/2 inch by 5 inches. It's also 19 millimeters. And they say to torque this first, but I would just put this on, put this bolt in, and then tighten and torque them afterwards. That way you still have a little bit of play in getting this one set.
And don't forget your washers.
And don't forget your washers, like I just about did. There we go.
Alright, this goes in here. Okay, those are in.
Okay, so there's one more hole back here with another one of these flag nuts, and it's a 3/8 with a lock washer and a washer. So this just feeds up through here, and you just have to hold it, this little thing, similar to the other side. It's honestly very hard to get it started. So this middle bolt right here is the one that we're taking out, and it's better to just take this out first all the way, and then it'll slightly lower the whole front, and then you can take the rest of the strut off up there. This is a 24 millimeter. Okay, so now once you have the top down, you can kind of see under here it's lowered. So now we'll just take these two off, and then we should be able to get it out. We may have to compress it, but I'll show you that in a second. So you kind of have to compress this a little bit to be able to get it out. Luckily on this one, it stays compressed for a little bit, but it's really hard on the new Bilstein ones to actually get that to happen, so.
Gotta get it in there right the first time.
Yeah. Also, you have to be super careful. I have a jack under here because this is your brake line, and this is actually a little tighter than probably what it should be. And these are also your ABS lines, so you want to be careful to not put too much tension on them too. So just to make a hard situation even harder. So basically I'm just holding this up as high as I can, pushed up in there, and Hannah's gonna start threading on the nut on the inside, which is gonna draw this up.
That's on there.
Because right now there's not enough threads coming through to put the washer back on that was already on there. We'll show you in just a second what that is. But she's basically gonna tighten this. It's gonna draw this up, give us enough room, enough threads up there to put the washer on and the nut.
Inside, this is what I'm doing. This is the washer, this is the nut. You put the washer on first, then this, but because this isn't working, we had to screw this on first. I had to ratchet it up, then I could take this off, put the washer back down, put this back on, so now I'm going in to do that. And inside, that's what this looks like. This is the washer that came with the van. This is the new nut from Agile. So we just came through, put the nut on first just to be able to get enough thread through, took it back off, put the washer down, put the nut back on, and tightened it pretty much as far as we possibly could. Okay, so now what we have to do is get these bolts back in, and this is where a jack is really handy, so you can jack up wherever you need to move it in place. It's best to get the bottom one in first, and now that the bottom one's in, we can release the jack, and then we can jack up right below the rotor, and then we can get this top one in. Just while we have this here, go ahead and put a little thread lock on there. Just go ahead and start this one. Alright, sometimes you just gotta give it a little. Well, that was more than a little tap, that's for sure, but. And again, we couldn't find anywhere what anyone said on torque rating for this, so pretty much just used the impact and got it as tight as we felt like it was good.
Now we just gotta put this plastic back up in here. And the last step is to torque this, the bottom and the top, to 100. After 12 hours, we finally are done, and this is the finished product. All we have to do is put the tires back on. I think it turned out, buddy.
Good.
If it wasn't for the freaking strut on the other side, I think we would have been done faster. The only thing we have left to do too is put these on. Just goes over the coils to help save like this, preserve the seal in there. So yeah, put these on and then the tires. We're also putting bigger wheels and tires on this van, so once we get those on, we'll show you that, but we'll also show you a more in-depth look at it in the daylight, because it's dark now. So now that we finally have a nice day where it's not raining, we're going to show you the finished product of the RIP Kit, and we also got the wheels and tires installed, which looks really cool. Okay, so like we showed you in the video, we got the Bilstein struts with the coilovers, the auxiliary shocks, and then we just got these tires put on like 2 days ago. We went with the Black Rhino Arsenal rims and the BF Goodrich KO3 tires. And then back here in the back, we have the Fox 2.0 reservoir shocks with the 6,000-pound leaf springs. And that concludes our Agile Offroad RIP Kit install.
This is the first project on our new van build, so if you want to see any other install videos, feel free to comment that down below. We're going to be posting pretty much every week about this van build and just showing you the whole process along the way. So if you want to see that, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.